Before Tiger Stadium fills to capacity tonight, the party happens outside. Coach O leads the charge, and last week's hero, kicker Cole Tracy, gets a warm greeting after beating Auburn. Quarterback Joe Burrow gets set for his second home game as a Tiger. The day is long and the action truly begins when the sun goes down on Baton Rouge.
LSU after dark. College football's greatest spectacle. It's intimidating, seismic, ferocious. This is where dreams go to die. Opponents fear it. We savor it. This is the Death Valley. And these Tigers prefer to hunt at night.
The number 6 team in the country takes its home field. The LSU Tigers, undefeated at 3-0. Welcome in the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs, a record of 2-0 at a Conference USA. Hi, everybody. So glad to have you with us here tonight in Baton Rouge. I'm Mike Cousins. He's Kirk Morrison, the former Defensive Player of the Year in the Mountain West Conference. It's been a great start for the Tigers, 3-0. They're happy to be home, and they've got the best resume in the country.
Yeah, that resume is 2 top 10 finishes in which they beat teams that no one expected them to, because it's a new offense here at LSU. You walk around here in Baton Rouge, look, they want to show everybody and prove it. They feel disrespected. Even though they won last week in great fashion, they want to prove it that they're a top team in the country.
Joe Burrow led them on their final drive as Cole Tracy kicked the game winner. Their last 2 drives, a 71-yard touchdown strike with 8 minutes, 18 seconds left, and then they burned off the final 5.5 minutes to win the game with the field goal. On the other side today for the Bulldogs, their defense has a couple big names. It starts up front.
Yeah, it starts with Jalen Ferguson, number 45. You got to watch him. The FBS active leader in career sacks, 28.5. If I'm the LSU offense, I got to know where 45 is at all time. That's Jalen Ferguson.
Short kick after Louisiana Tech won the toss and deferred, so LSU starts with the ball, and Joe Burrow takes the field. Native of Ohio, had not played real meaningful football. Did play in 10 games at Ohio State, but real meaningful football until this year since he was in high school. So he comes in over the summer, wins the job, and although his completion percentage sits at just 46% coming into this game, the staff is not worried because he's gotten the job done over the first 3 games. He throws on first down. Justin Jefferson in that stack along the near sideline. And it's Burrow who, when he came here, he was courted not only with film, but with food and some of the finest cuisine available here in Baton Rouge.
And they took him to the finest restaurants and showed him the way they do it here in Baton Rouge. But look, this is a different style of offense that he's used to. At Ohio State, a little bit different. He comes down here. This offense is now geared around Joe Burrow's skill set.
Hand off for Nick Brosette, who powers his way forward to the 34-yard line, where he's taken down by Amik Robertson, the cornerback, the sophomore from here in Louisiana. Brosette, the senior, a native of Baton Rouge. And it brings up 3rd down and short.
You know, watching this offensive line for LSU already, they want to play on the LSU side of the football in terms of getting the great push up front. They want to push La Tech off the football, open up some lanes and help them not only in the run, but also in the pass.
Burrow gives for Brosette, who's met along the line by Davon Washington, the redshirt senior linebacker, and he's short of the sticks. So 4th and short on the opening drive.
Standing strong, that defensive line for La Tech. This was an area last week that LSU actually excelled at in the 3rd and short. This time not getting it early on. That's a big stop for La Tech, especially on the first series of the game. Kind of calm the nerves a little bit and calm this crowd down here at LSU.
Teddy Veal, the redshirt senior wide receiver, is back deep, calls for the fair catch as he drifts, as does the ball. And it's a touchback. 65 yards on the punt from the 27-year-old Zach Von Rosenberg, the former minor league baseball player who sent it into the humid sky. 2-0 for Louisiana Tech. They had a strange schedule this year with a bye week preceding this game, but it's welcome preparation for Jamar Smith and this Louisiana Tech offense that likes to spread the ball out through the air.
Yeah, the second-year quarterback in terms of the second-year starter has a good grasp on this offense. Let's see what he has for the LSU defense today.
A pump to the flat. He unloads down the sideline. A one-on-one fingertip grab by Adrian Hardy. What a way to start to move it to midfield.
If you want to get this offense going, you go at the #1 cornerback for LSU. You go right at Greedy Williams, and you got to go up and make a play. That time, Jamar Smith reads the one-on-one coverage, throws it up, and Hardy with a good catch.
Quickly back to the line of scrimmage as that ball goes incomplete, intended for the running back, Israel Tucker. We welcome you to Baton Rouge Tiger Stadium, a sellout tonight. It's the opening drive for the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. They've got a third down coming up as that pass went for Teddy Veal. Mike Cousins along with Kirk Morrison, the former Defensive Player of the Year in the Mountain West Conference at San Diego State. Opening drive was a 3-and-out for number 6 LSU, the best resume in the country with 2 top 10 wins. And a big play that went for 33 yards to start this drive for the Bulldogs has them into LSU territory. Smith with pressure from the backside throws incomplete, intended for Teddy Veal, one of his top targets, with Grant Delpit in pursuit in the secondary, and it's now 4th and 10.
You get to third down if you're a La Tech. You got to watch number 40. And we're going to speak his name a lot. That's Devin White. He's the inside linebacker for LSU. You got to watch 40 because not only does he play with great speed, he just has a feel for the game. He knows where to blitz and gets right through and actually forces Smith to just throw the football away. An outstanding football player, Devin White.
His pursuit has led him to 27 tackles so far, second best among SEC defenders. Fair catch. There's a collision as the ball sails out of the back of the end zone, and a flag comes in as well. We'll get a chance to hear for the first time from our referee, David Smith, on a very humid evening here in Baton Rouge.
They may get Sneed here, the cornerback, with catch interference.
But did the block take him into the collision there with Jonathan Giles, the Texas Tech transfer wide receiver for LSU?
Yeah, I think that's what the officials are discussing right now. Was he blocked into that? I think they may wave this flag off.
Kick catch interference on the kicking team, number 24. 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
Tigers went 3-and-out on their first try. They've got the ball when we come back.
LSU After Dark, college football's greatest spectacle. It's intimidating, seismic, ferocious. This is where dreams go to die. Opponents fear it, we savor it. This is the Death Valley, and these Tigers prefer to hunt at night.
first sellout since 2016 here at Tiger Stadium. That was a game against Alabama. This against the Bulldogs of Louisiana Tech. Drive number 2 brings the first down of the night on a 17-yard run for Nick Brossette. And tonight it'll be interesting to watch what type of a push the offensive line gets for the senior running back, especially on the left side.
Well, you got athletic centers in the front of your offensive line that can get out. This is where LSU today, the communication has to be here. When you got new offensive linemen in, the 4th different set of offensive linemen in 4 games, the communication has to be well up front for LSU.
Morrow, the tight end, with the catch and a plunge forward from Brossette. Picks up a first down. So Badara Traore, number 74, getting his first career start there at left tackle as he replaces Sadiq Charles, who's out this week, and Garrett Brumfield, who's with him, number 78 in purple, has a big responsibility as well. That's what Steve Ensminger, the offensive coordinator, told us, is he's going to rely a lot on the guards to help the tackles through this game.
Well, the one thing when you talk about offensive line, always remember they have to work on a string, meaning everyone has to be on pace. Everybody has to be on point at the point of attack. And the one thing already we're seeing is the center, Lloyd Cushenberry, getting up to the second level. We know about Lewis and Brumfield. Those are the guards. They like to get out to the second level, get up to the third level, and sometimes. So when you have a new left tackle in there, watch that relationship between guard and left tackle today, Brumfield and Traore.
Davon Washington, the redshirt senior linebacker, was the injured player for Louisiana Tech, so he comes off for at least one play. Burrow hit as he throws into play action, and the pass falls incomplete, intended for Giles.
The one thing that when you look at Joe Burrow, the one thing that sticks out is what? The completion percentage. Everyone talks about, oh, he doesn't complete at a high clip, but then also understand this. Those are 2 drops he's already had in the football game. Those count as incomplete passes. His wide receiver's definitely not helping him out so far.
That's just short of the first down marker. So for Burrow against Miami, 11 for 24, 50% against Southeast Louisiana. The numbers don't jump off the page, but Steve Ensminger, the offensive coordinator, said, hey, look, I don't look at the stats. I look at 3 things. Did you turn it over? No. No turnovers for the Tigers this year. And he missed assignments and effort, and that's how he grades his play.
Well, he should grade drops already, 2 in this football game. That doesn't help the quarterback, but it's not going to stop the confidence of Joe Burrow to still put that ball in the air.
Edwards-Helaire with his first carry of the night. He shimmies his way inside the 35-yard line. A Tigers first down.
You bring that fullback in, and that's old school LSU football. That's downhill running. They converted on this 3rd and short earlier in the first drive. Did not get it this time. You bring the fullback in, you lead up, and let Helaire go in, find 1 yard, keep the chains moving.
Edwards-Helaire off to the left side. He's hit by Colin Scott, the redshirt junior out of Houston. The linebackers this week for Louisiana Tech, their meetings were a little bit different than the other meeting rooms around the facility. They wore their helmets to the meetings. Normally, if you lay the best hit of the week, you get a hard hat for the week. But they wanted to be all about physicality and emphasize that throughout the course of the week. So helmets it was, even as they were getting their off-the-field education.
Reminded me of my time in the NFL when I knew I was playing against a team in the AFC North. We used to call that a double chin strap game. Make sure you bring an extra chin strap. That's what La Tech's defense, they know they got to bring that extra hard hat. Be a physical game up front.
Another first down conversion on 3rd and short. As Brossette got a lot of the early load, and now Edwards-Helaire has been picking up some carries. A guy who only touched the ball 12 times a year ago.
This is where Burrow takes shots to the end zone after a quick first down.
He's got his eyes turned that way. He's got a completion and a stretch at the goal line. And a touchdown for Jamar Chase. Yeah, he stepped out.
Yeah, it looks like he may have stepped out.
So he should be out of the 2.
Sometimes you don't know where you're at on the field, especially out there in no man's land, but this is the LSU offense. It's get a first down right back on the line of scrimmage and take your shots downfield. Burrow showed that last week versus Auburn, and already again a first down and then going right to the end zone. It looked like maybe Chase may have stepped out. Looked like that left foot may have got out of bounds before he was able to extend the football across that goal line.
Skip Holtz, the 6th-year head coach at Louisiana Tech, has been extremely successful since he's gotten here. A winning record in all but his first season, and it's his longest tenure at any of his head coaching stops, which include ECU and USF.
You know, as I watch the play again, I'm just looking at the left foot of Jamar Chase, because the left foot tells me that that football was still in his hand when he's out of bounds, was not extended across the goal line, that may be coming back.
After further review, the runner stepped out at the 1-yard line. The ball will be placed at the 1-yard line. First and goal, LSU.
So hold the band, as we would say, hold the band. But you get right here in the short yardage situations again, goal line. Last week, LSU showed us a little bit of the Wildcat. This time, bring in the heavy package, 3 tight ends and 2 running backs.
Brosette, touchdown LSU.
Watch the tight end, 18, Foster Moreau, just the hook. When you got tight ends that can block like that, that can seal an edge and give Brosette just enough room to squeak through. That offensive line, along with Moreau, the tight end. A physical front on the offensive line for LSU, striking first.
Last week's hero who kicked the game winner, Cole Tracy, on for the extra point. That's a guy who's got name recognition around Baton Rouge, and the Tigers have got a touchdown lead.
ESPN College Football is presented by Ice Cold Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville, and in part by the all-new, totally remixed Volkswagen Jetta.
Welcome back to ESPN College Football, presented by Dr. Pepper. 7-0 LSU. Put the ball on the ground for the majority of that drive, and punching it in with the senior running back Nick Brosette, as the Tigers get ready to kick it away to Louisiana Tech. Avery Atkins, the freshman walk-on from Auburn High School in Alabama, 15 for 18 in touchbacks this year, and that number continues to get even better. Whiteout conditions next Saturday on ABC. Penn State and Ohio State. You think back to 2016, how big this game was, and it was a win for Penn State over Ohio State. Nittany Lions went on to the Big Ten championship game. They beat Wisconsin, didn't make it to the college football playoff, so they're hoping another whiteout will bring them success.
It's always one of those Big Ten games, the first marquee Big Ten matchup of the year.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 44 on the kicking team. Penalty is 15 yards. That is number 44's first unsportsmanlike conduct foul.
Torrey Carter, who was the lead blocker for Brosette on the LSU touchdown, and the latter half of that announcement from the referee David Smith is notable because, 1, you're good, 2, you're ejected.
Yeah, you get, look, the emotions already for LSU. They had the emotional win last week. They come out and score on their second drive of the game. This place is rocking so far. This is Saturday night in Death Valley.
Left side carry for Jaquise Dancy. Jamar Smith, it's something a little bit unfamiliar for Louisiana Tech. It's a returning starting quarterback, which is the first time they've had that happen since 2010.
It's crazy to think that they've got a better game manager in the year 2 for starting quarterback Jamar Smith. Last year, they went through his ups and downs, had bumps and bruises. This year, year 2 with Jamar Smith, they believe has a much better handle on the offense.
He quickly lets it fly. He finds Dancy, who took the carry on the first play, and he sneaks his way across midfield. Well, you talked about Devin White on the first possession for Louisiana Tech, a guy who comes in second in the SEC with 27 tackles, and a guy who's got a lot of pro potential.
A lot of pro potential, and if there's a team out there looking for an inside linebacker, Devin White may be your guy. We think about Roquan Smith last year at Georgia. Devin White fits that same mold of an inside linebacker that can run sideline to sideline.
4-man rush on 1st and 10, and Rasheed Bonnet, a leading pass catcher through 2 games for the Bulldogs, unable to bring it in.
It's the honeymoon phase still in the beginning of this football game, meaning that you're trying to figure out what's the game plan for Louisiana Tech. Do they want to come out in the 4 wide receiver sets, try to spread this LSU defense out? I don't know if the offensive line for Louisiana Tech can handle the pressure that LSU can present, so you may spread them out, keep this defensive line running east and west.
Setting up for the screen, and the inside pass to Hardy. He's quickly demolished. A strong tackle from Jacob Phillips, the linebacker.
It's read and react defense. Read and react. Phillips just reading the screen there, stays home, and goes out and beats a block and makes the play. But this is 3rd down. This is where the LSU defense takes over. When you get 3rd down in long situations, LSU believes that the 4-man rush is all you need. They drop 7 back into coverage. And when you got the safety in the middle, Grant Delpit, number 9, roam in the middle, makes it hard on quarterbacks.
Empty backfield, a couple of pump fakes, and an overthrow over the 5'9" Alfred Smith. It's 4th down and 11. So we saw Dave Aranda, the defensive coordinator, in his 3rd season for LSU. And one of the things that he mentioned that gave him a little bit of pause coming into this game was he wasn't exactly sure what style of offense to expect from Louisiana Tech, with only 2 games of film from this season and a different look that they showed last year when they went 7-6.
It's always scary for a defensive coordinator when a team is on a bye week prior to your game, because there's nothing that you can look at. The first 2 games may not be indicative of what you may see in the early parts of a football game. So far, LSU getting off the field on defense first couple series.
Brady Farlow had to get that away through a very tight window, and it goes out of bounds just short of the 10-yard line. Long field for the Tigers, up by a score at home. Incredible. It's those weeks where you think there are really no tremendous games on the slate in terms of top 25 matchups. Of course, out west tonight, a good one with Stanford and Oregon. But the surprises that come at you, that's what makes it fun. This drive starts on the 11th, 3rd drive of the night for LSU, that went 3 and out on its first drive. And Nick Brosette with a rushing touchdown from short distance on drive number 2.
One thing you're seeing with LSU's offense is the hurry up, the quick, the tempo. You haven't seen this before at LSU, a different style of offense under Steve Ensminger.
You know what's been interesting so far is the number of runs that have gone to the left side of the line.
Yeah,
and Foster Moreau's been involved in a lot of those too, the tight end.
It's the tight end. He is the key to their running game. Foster Moreau, whether he's in the backfield or he's in the line of scrimmage, you watch 18, and I'm telling you, if I'm a running back, I'm going behind him every time.
Good protection for Burrow as he finds Justin Jefferson right near the first down marker, but not enough. And they want to get him the ball more. He's only had 2 catches over the first 3 games, the senior from New Orleans, but he's been such an integral part of leading the charge for their running game that they haven't been able to do that just yet. That was a strong push up front for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, led by 45, Jalen Ferguson. We talked about him as not only a pass rusher, but he's showing you that he can run. He can not only maintain that edge, turn the football back. This is a complete football player right here, Jalen Ferguson. You know, talking to Coach Ogeron yesterday, it's hard to lose the Louisiana kids to other schools, and he said Ferguson was a guy he wanted, and they can definitely play at LSU.
Third and 1 of the day. Edwards-Helaire has the answer. Brought down by Brandon Durman, who came in for the injured Davon Washington, and they are 3 for 3 when they've had 3rd and 1 so far.
Yeah, but you see where they're running the football. It's right up the middle. It's between the guards and the center. This is the strength of the LSU offensive line. It's Cushenberry, Brumfield, Lewis. Those 3 guys up front get great push, and the running backs just keep those legs moving. That's how they're able to churn out 1 to 2 yards in those short yardage situations.
Pickup of about 5 for Edwards-Helaire.
But this is the area of the field, especially now when you see LSU huddle up on offense. This is where you see the plays that come off that running play, the play action. This is what opens up. I take a look at the receiver up top. Looks like Giles, one-on-one.
And a toss over to the strong side, a big collision at the 47-yard line. Good enough for an LSU first down with James Jackson, the safety, colliding with Edwards-Helaire.
You know, Blake Baker, the defensive coordinator for Louisiana Tech, he's going to have to figure out how to stop this run game for LSU. They've got 3-4 backs that they can run at you. But it's really about how do they get a chance to get up front and get down. How do they get these running backs down that seem to always fall forward for 1, 2, 3 yards even after contact?
Handoff goes to Chris Curry as a flag comes in. The freshman running back from Lehigh Acres, Florida, getting just his 5th opportunity to carry this year. And that may go against LSU.
I think we may get a chop block situation here.
It was thrown right into the pit.
Yeah, I think you may see a chop block possibly.
Personal foul, chop block, number 78 and number 74 on the offense. 15 yards from the previous spot. Replay, first down.
You know, we talked about those 2 earlier, the left guard, Garrett Brumfield, and the left tackle, Badara Traore. These are the 2 guys that have to work in unison together. You got a first-time starting left tackle, first game, and that time the communication wasn't there. You had Brumfield going right, and Traore should have went left, then came back right. And when he did, he didn't know that the defensive lineman was already engaged. That is a penalty. That is what they call a chop block. Having one guy engaged up high and the other one going down low, that's an easy call for the officials.
Burrow with nice protection, throws to a tight window and gets the connection to Terrace Marshall Jr., his 3rd catch of 2018.
I think the one thing I love about Joe Burrow so far, he doesn't just throw to one guy. You know, you look at the receivers, whether it's Chase, we saw the big play earlier, Jefferson, Giles, Sullivan. This time Marshall getting a catch. He spreads the football around to all the receivers when he gets the opportunity to throw.
Getting back to last week, Derek Dillon, the 71-yard touchdown catch, his only reception of the year. On a crossing route. It's another catch, gaining back the penalty yardage. Stephon Sullivan, the junior from Louisiana, 18 yards combined on those last 2 plays. Makes it 3rd down and much more manageable than it was at 1st and 25.
But this is where Joe Burrow makes his money at. This is what we call the money down, 3rd and 8. And this is where he worked at last week. This is where he just shined on 3rd down situations. So if I'm Burrow, the guy who I always look for is the guy in the slot, number 2, Justin Jefferson. He's been the go-to guy for Burrow.
Here comes the rush. The toss is incomplete. The LSU sideline clamoring for a penalty flag. They don't get it, and the Tigers will punt.
That's a nice job by L'Jarius Sneed, the cornerback, the junior, out of right here in Minden, Louisiana. Just watch what he does. He stays patient. When you get those flanker drives, those routes that go all the way across the field, he gets away with it just a little bit, but see how he hooks that left hand right around the waist and allows the right hand enough room to get in and knock the ball away. That's a terrific play by the defensive back, Sneed.
That's got to be a really fine line, though, with wrapping that hand around between a good defensive play and a flag.
Yeah, but some guys know how to do it. That's a junior. He's a crafty veteran. Those guys get away with it.
Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN. With the sun going down here over Baton Rouge on the banks of the Mississippi. 7-0 LSU over Louisiana Tech. And even though LSU didn't end up with a score on that last drive, still a nice job to establish difficult field position. The Tigers started at their own 11 and started up Louisiana Tech at their own 3. Handoff for Dancy, who's got wide open space, tumbling across the 15-yard line, and a first down burst for 13 yards.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Dancy enough. The redshirt junior running back gets the ball, and a nice job of the offensive line, not only creating space, but allowing that defensive line of LSU to get up the field, secure a nice little block, and let Dancy take over the rest.
Garcia out of right side. Delvin with the takedown.
First time LSU and Louisiana Tech have squared off since 2009. The only time that the Bulldogs have won in this series, you've got to go all the way back to 1904 when they played twice in one season. Smith with a fastball. And that comes loose, scooped up by the Tigers. The defense pounces and delivers in a major way. It's Devin White on top of it.
You look around college football, there's turnover chains, there's turnover thrones at LSU. It's nothing new to this football team. They create turnovers. That time, Christian Fulton, the junior, breaks that football, and then Devin White showing you he's just not an athletic linebacker, showing off the running back skills and finishing. Devin White, big touchdown.
So one-handed pickup, but looked like he stepped out of bounds just short of going over the goal line.
Yeah, we can watch that.
About the 3.5-yard line.
Yeah, that sideline has not been favorable for LSU. We saw the earlier touchdown taken away from Chase, the wide receiver, Jamar Chase, and now Devin White may be victim of stepping out of bounds. I've been in those situations before where not only do you get the football in your hands and you're trying to go score, and then all of a sudden you forget where you're on the field. You're not thinking about keeping in bounds. You're just trying to figure out who's the next guy you can run over. And so we'll see right now, they're still looking at the first part of the turnover. Was it a catch? That's the first thing before they get to was Devin White out of bounds. To me, it looked like that was a catch. The ball was secured, and a good job by Christian Fulton raking at that football. This is what LSU does a terrific job of, is raking the football, getting at it. You can catch it, but can you hold on to it? That time, Fulton raking at it with the right hand, getting the ball out of Hardy's hands.
After further review, the receiver did catch the ball and fumble it. However, the LSU return stepped out at the 3-yard line. The ball will be placed at the 3-yard line. First and goal, LSU.
So what the officials look for there, did he have possession of the ball?
Correct.
Did he make a move, come into the game?
Please
yes.
reset the game clock to 1:02. 1 minute, 2 seconds.
And so it sets up another goal-to-go situation for LSU. And we'll see if they go back to Nick Brossette.
That's what Louisiana Tech did not want to do. It was a great drive they had going. You get a nice pickup and then the fumble, and now LSU, like you mentioned, right back in business inside the 5-yard line of Louisiana Tech.
Brossette behind the middle of the offensive line. Short. You know, this is an area, too. We talked about Joe Burrow's passing numbers. Not to necessarily say it might happen, but he's a guy who's shown off his ability to run a little bit as well. Can never be too surprised. There's Garrett Brumfield, the left guard.
Yeah, that's
who came out last week with an injured shoulder.
And that's seeing him down there on the, looks like he's raving in pain a little bit there at left leg. And this is a guy who, like you mentioned, he was out last week for a part of the football game. And it definitely hurt the way Steve Ensminger, the offensive coordinator at LSU, the way he calls the game. When you have that interior line, like I mentioned, from Brunfield, Cushenberry, and Lewis, the guard, center, and guard, these guys have played a lot of football together. You got the senior, the junior, and the sophomore center. These guys have that chemistry. He goes out of the game. Now you got to figure out, how do you call this football game? Because they've been getting a lot of chunk yards right in the teeth of that defense.
Left knee for Brumfield is the area of concern for the senior from Baton Rouge.
It's always scary when you see that big pile of guys and people are just pushing forward. And sometimes you just got to keep those feet moving, as he's kind of bent back by Ferguson, the defensive end for Louisiana Tech. And
that's 6'5", 260 pounds. Just part of what's coming down on top of him there at the goal line.
Yeah, that's the scary part. Sometimes that pile, and you kind of stop your feet, and now the pile's moving. But it looks like the big man is up.
So there's a loss of experience there at left guard as the senior comes off the field. Behind him on the depth chart is the freshman Chasen Hines, who stepped in at left guard against Auburn as well.
Yeah, the true freshman Chasen Hines that you mentioned. And how do you get him going? What do? You just run the football right behind him. You get that confidence going by that first play, going right behind Hines on the left guard.
Burrow tries his hand at a touchdown, and he's marked down with inches to go. It'll be 3rd and goal for LSU.
Similar situation. We saw this last week versus Auburn. LSU coming up short on the first couple plays. And they may let this quarter run out. Go talk about it on the sideline. Last week, it was the Wildcat that they went to on 3rd and short. This time, I think you let the clock run out. Talk about this 3rd down play in between quarters.
They loaded up big. They had a couple of fullbacks come onto the field right after that ball was marked short of the end zone for LSU. It was a turnover. Fumble picked up by White, who took it back, thought he had the score, stepped out short. Brossette's already reached the promised land for the Tigers. See if he can do it again after the turnover forced by the LSU defense. Welcome back to ESPN College Football, presented by Dr. Pepper. Mike Cousins, Kirk Morrison, along with you here Saturday night at Tiger Stadium. More than 100,000 on hand. Start of the second quarter, and it's 3rd and goal for LSU. Brissett gets it off to the left side, and he is in for the Tiger 6.
Well, we talked about it early. Not only do you have a new left tackle, but a new left guard in there. Chasen Hines, Badara Traore, and the push up front by 57 and 74. And then Damian Lewis, the junior right guard, just escorts Brissett into the end zone. LSU making it look easy up front.
(14-0) LSU the lead. Normally, Kirk, on an average game day, they get to the stadium about 2 hours early. It's about accurate, right?
Right, about accurate.
Today, there's Brumfield, the left guard, heading off to the locker room. Today, we got here about 3.5, 4 hours early to soak in some of the scenery out in the tailgating areas, and we ate good. And the fans here were generous, and it was a really good time to soak in some of what college football here in Baton Rouge is really a big part of it, is the atmosphere outside the stadium as well.
Yeah, my second trip to Baton Rouge, and I'll tell you, this one didn't disappoint. You mentioned walking up and seeing the pageantry of college football. Welcome to Death Valley. Everybody welcoming. Had a chance to go crash a couple tailgates, which I haven't done that, but I felt I had to down here. I had to come down here and crash a couple tailgates. And I got invited back. So I told some people, just hold some food till after the game. I will be back. But definitely a great experience leading you up into kickoff.
Well, I wasn't worried about my cholesterol. I wasn't worried about my calories. We've had the experience, which our pals Marty and McGee have also taken in as well.
You know, they tailgate at every college football stadium. Do they? LSU might be the only place where they actually cook tails of stuff. Like they have animals that I've never even seen that they just pull out of the swamp and cook it. I don't know what it is, but it sure does taste good.
What about that analysis?
You like?
Here's what I remember about LSU tailgates. I've covered a few games there. Every single time that I'm walking by all these tailgates, they just want to get me hammered.
It's the truth. Yeah.
I mean, Jell-O shots.
Here, dude. Here.
Every brand of bourbon, vodka that you can imagine,
here, Marty.
and of course cold beers.
Yeah.
I mean, they're very, very cordial.
You got to wash that tailgate down with something?
We chose water, by the way. Israel Tucker, the redshirt sophomore, gets the carry here to start the drive for the Bulldogs.
Tucker's the backup running back to Jaquise Dancy. A similar skill set. Tucker, the redshirt sophomore, 5'8", 199. More of the spark plug type running back. Not necessarily a change of pace, but so far what we're seeing from the Louisiana Tech offense, they want to spread LSU out defensively. They haven't really gone to the air as much, trying to soften the passing game up by running the football.
That's swatted away, intended for Alfred Smith. But there was a jump along the line there.
Looks like number 90, Rashard Lawrence, trying to get a little bit of a jump on the football.
Offside on the defense, number 90. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
It's one of the captains for this LSU football team, not just on defense, but for the team. And that time, Lawrence trying to read that snap count. Always difficult when you don't necessarily have a snap count. Remember, road teams usually use the hand clap. That's usually a signal that road teams, especially in this environment, they go with a silent count, or what we've seen is quarterbacks clap their hands. That time, Rashard Lawrence just missed it by a hair.
Smith, a short throw, dropped by Bonnet. Covered well by Christian Fulton, who we mentioned forced that fumble on the last drive for Louisiana Tech. A guy who was injured against Auburn and wore the yellow non-contact jersey during practice this week. Glad to have him back there out at full strength.
Yeah, this defense, everyone talks about Greedy Williams on the other side, 29, the sophomore, but Fulton showing, hey, look, you throw at my side, I can hurt you as well.
Delayed give and quickly covered up as Tucker goes down. It'll be 3rd down. We've talked about the secondary with Williams and Fulton and White among the linebacking core, and Lawrence, who was called for that penalty along the front for LSU. Which level do you think is their strongest personnel-wise?
Well, I would have to go with that secondary with Delpit in the middle. We haven't called his name yet, but number 9 is lurking.
And that ball's tipped up and out of bounds by Delpit.
You call his name, and he's right there on cue. Well, he's got great range for not only a free safety, but you can see him in the box. He can play sort of an outside hybrid linebacker. Kind of reminds me of, and dare I say it, is the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, a guy that you can play all over the defense, but watch the patience. He reads the quarterback's eyes, and when the ball is released, watch the jump he gets on the football. Great technique. He had an interception last week to start the scoring for LSU. And then right there, a terrific defensive play and another 3rd down stop for LSU on defense.
Picked off Jarrett Stidham on the second play of the game last week against Auburn. Tigers have it up 14-zip over the Bulldogs. LSU running back Nick Brossette has been through a lot early in life. His mother Rita battling cancer over the last 5 years. His brother passed away in 2015. In his freshman season, tragedy at home and on the field, a torn ACL as well. Now in his senior season, trying to become part of a great lineage here at LSU, where running backs every year since 1995, this LSU roster has had an NFL running back on the roster.
Yeah, you got to applaud Brossette. In the era where everyone in college football tends to transfer if they don't get their opportunity, Brossette has had to wait his turn. And when you talk about waiting your turn, you're waiting behind Leonard Fournette, you're waiting behind Darius Geis. But when you get your opportunity, you shine. And so far tonight, you're seeing Brossette inside, outside, and showing you the power that he possesses. An outstanding football player, but I even love what he does in the pass game, and a terrific blocker. One of the reasons why he's an every down back for LSU.
He comes onto the field at least for one snap here as Edwards-Helaire, who took the carry on 1st down, had his helmet come off. So he's got to sit out this play. Davon Washington back from his injury stint. Matthew Idarga converging to make the tackle there.
You know, one of the things I wanted to watch, especially for Louisiana Tech as a team, not just defensively, was can they handle their emotions? You know, this is a interstate game, meaning that a lot of kids from Louisiana Tech are from Louisiana, playing against guys they either played against in high school or definitely in college. So far, Louisiana Tech handling their emotions, but now they got to handle 3rd down, where Joe Burrow has definitely been terrific early on this season.
They showed blitz. They drop 8. Burrow escapes the first wave. Throws and hits his target out at the 47-yard line. Stephon Sullivan waiting on the turf for 19 yards.
Well, the first wave was the guy who you have to find at all times, and that's Jalen Ferguson. Ferguson just missed a sack there, but watching Joe Burrow be able to get out of the pocket, not only extend the play, but then find Sullivan. This is why they're excited about what Joe Burrow has done. Remember, he's only in his 4th start within this offense, but that type of play right there is one that gets people excited down at LSU.
Burrow's got time and unloads to the sideline. Robertson escorting D. Anderson out of bounds.
Yeah, sometime when you get to 3rd down, I call it the money down, but watch 76, the right tackle, Austin Deculus, gets away with a nice little hold on Ferguson. And when you're able to get away with that, you extend the play. And this is where Burrow, I think, is at his best, throwing on a run for a 1st down.
And taking his shot, he's got it. Against one of the best corners in the country. They target Robertson 2 in a row for Anderson on back-to-back plays.
And this is what they love to do. They take the shots down the field. These are low percentage throws, but yet this is the way the offense for Steve Ensminger, this is how they make their money. They have to take shots. They have to get the ball down the field. It loosens it up for the run game.
It's all part of some calculated risks. They get between the hash marks with Brosette.
You know, it's funny, you get down here, and the one thing within this offense is they can not only run it, but they're not afraid to throw the ball in the end zone, especially down here in tight quarters.
Off to the right side, beautiful tackle, single pursuit. James Jackson helping to prevent a score.
Third down, money down, same thing. The guy who I always want to look at is number 2, Justin Jefferson. He's only had 2 targets so far today, but if I'm Burrow, I'm trying to figure out how do I find Jefferson.
Their leading pass catcher coming into this game and against Auburn nearly hit 100 yards through the air with his 5 catches against the Tigers. Still can pick up another first down here with the first down marker at the 2-yard line. Burrow's got time, pressure from the backside, a hard hit, a helmet rattling hit from Daniel Lewis, stops Anderson short of the first down marker, 4th down.
That's a nice hit by Daniel Lewis. That's a touchdown saving hit by Lewis. Great technique, outstanding play. He sees the football, gets the head across, and boom, that's a nice hit.
First field goal attempt tonight for Cole Tracy. That's where he told us he looks. He doesn't look at the goalpost. He sets up his sight line well above it at that Coca-Cola sign for this try from 24. And if he keeps playing like that, he's only going to get more and more popular here in Baton Rouge. The transfer from a Division II school in Massachusetts. We'll hear more from him when we come back. Cole Tracy, the kicker for LSU, did mention he had friends coming from Assumption College. He told us they'd be wearing LSU gear, so there's no telling right now whether those are actually his friends or just LSU fans turned big Cole Tracy fans after he kicked the game winner last week. And a field goal here, his first today, makes it 17-0 LSU.
That name has become legend down here really quickly. You make a big field goal to beat Auburn, that name is now legend. You hear Cole Tracy, everybody's like, that's the kicker. We love him.
Well, the senior from Camarillo, California, came here as a grad transfer. But the question is, in the SEC, even after you kick a game winner, does anybody know who you are?
Did anybody watch the LSU Auburn game?
The soccer game?
No, the football game.
Oh, no.
What about the kick? Did you think he was going to make it?
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah?
No doubt. I'm just saying, I hope he doesn't miss it.
That'd be bad if he missed it, huh? Did you think he was going to make it?
Oh, yeah.
When Cole Tracy went for the field goal to beat Auburn.
Man, I wasn't watching. You got my head right in my hands.
And after only having played in front of the largest crowd of about 6,200 during his D2 days, now the crowds have gotten a lot bigger over the first 3 weeks of the season, with a couple of top 10 wins under their belt for LSU, and he has certainly been up to the challenge. Last week at Auburn, 86,787, and today 102,321, a sellout here at home.
That 38 games at Assumption, he's played in front of more people the last couple weeks in his entire career at Assumption. It's funny to think that he's become kind of a hero out here for what he was able to do last week.
Snap, false start, 74 on the offense, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
And he feels like right now he's playing with house money. He's got his degree in marketing, coming here for a year, certainly wants to see if there's a pro prospect for him to be able to play at the next level. And if not, he did his internships while he was in college over the summer in marketing and says, wherever I go, I'm a happy guy.
I think also he's been a big fan. I mean, coming from a small college and to come here to kick in the SEC. Look, this is not only fun for him, but he's embracing, and the guys have really embraced him as if he's been here for forever.
Smith threw it behind his intended target. It's bobbled and taken away by LSU. What a turn of events. As that ball went up in the air, was up for grabs, and Ed Paris came away with it.
Yeah, it's called tips and overthrows. That means that you got to be around the football, and that's a terrific job of just staying around and being by the football. Ed Paris, the safety, in for Grant Delpit, who went back to the locker room. We're still waiting to hear what's going on with him, but Paris being in the right place at the right time. Remember, John Battle, the other safety, he's sitting out the first half due to suspension for ejection. So this is a football team right now that's down a couple safeties, but when you have the depth and say, I've got a senior who's a backup, can come in and make a play, that time LSU having Paris make the big play, getting the ball back to their offense.
Battle, the other safety who you mentioned, out for the first half. It was a targeting penalty in the second half of the Auburn game that's forcing him to sit for the first 30 minutes. Edwards-Helaire with the toss and an army in front of him down the sideline. He tiptoes his way in for 6.
They call it POT, points off turnovers. You turn it over to LSU, their offense is going to make you pay. That offensive line not only getting blocks, but when you've got terrific running backs like Brissett and Helaire, sometimes you don't need a quarterback to have to throw it in the air. You give it to the running backs and let them do the rest.
And let Cole Tracy polish it off to extend the lead to 24-0 LSU inside of 8.5 here before the break.
Sometimes you just hand the football off. You let the big boys up front get their blocks. You turn on the Jets and the afterburners and celebrate on Saturday night in Death Valley.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Voya Financial, helping you to and through retirement. And the new DQ $4 burger and blizzard deal at participating locations.
We welcome you back to the SEC on ESPN here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. 24-0 LSU. Couple of turnovers tonight forced by the LSU defense, and they've done it every game, and it's yielded points for them every game.
And it's not only yielded points, it's yielded victories. That was the key to last week's game. People talk about, you know, the chess match back and forth with LSU and Auburn, but to me the key stat in that football game was the turnovers. LSU was able to get 2 takeaways, Auburn 0. LSU wins the football game.
On the ground, first down, maybe 2 for Dancy. And the success that they've had on both sides has led to them ascending in the polls as well. Starting out number 25, a win over number 8 Miami. Then Southeast Louisiana, and then another top 10 win against number 7 Auburn last week. So they're the first team in 42 years since Missouri did it in 1976. To beat 2 top 10 teams in the first 3 weeks of the season.
Well, I would think that's something that you would talk about down here in Baton Rouge, but that's not the case. They still feel disrespected around the country about the way how they've won. They still feel that they know what's ahead of them. That's some bigger matchups, but so far, you got to be excited by the 2 victories early on, the big victories.
Looking for Hardy, and it's too long from Smith. Make sure to kick off your Week 3 NFL Sunday with ESPN at 10 Eastern with Sunday NFL Countdown. They'll get you set for games like New Orleans and Atlanta. And how about San Francisco, Kansas City? A great matchup of quarterbacks there.
Yeah, a little Garoppolo versus Mahomes. the battle of the cats, the Bengals, Panthers. And I think people down here in Louisiana love that matchup, the rivalry matchup. Saints-Falcons tomorrow.
Big one in the NFC South. Smith on the run, and a ball that they had to wait for it to come back down to earth. That's a big play they've been looking for to get the offense jump-started. Javonte Woodard there to get it.
Yeah, you need those big plays. You got to push the ball down the field. It's similar. The LSU offense this year has been trying to push the ball down the field, and so far you're seeing Louisiana Tech now. They've had a couple opportunities to get the ball down the field, but you got to make them. You got to make a catch. That time, Woodard grabbing the football and bringing it in. And you see this time hold it and taking it all the way in down to the ground, not allowing the defenders of LSU to take it out.
White crossing across the middle of the field there on a quick throw from Smith, and he had his eyes on exactly where that was going.
No, he read that play. He dissected it. He knew where the football was going. That's why he's over there clapping those hands. He knew he missed a big-time opportunity. He read that one. Just the patience of the linebacker. I remember last year watching him play. Look, he was still young. He was just a sophomore. You knew the potential. And I think this year he's taken his game to a different level. Already an all-SEC performer. He's turned that now into some All-American status as a junior.
Dancy ripped to the ground by White with some help from Todd Harris, the safety.
This is a big drive for Louisiana Tech. This is 4-down territory. They need to sustain this momentum on this drive, and you got to get points.
Even if they come up with 3 here, it's not the desired result. But as you head toward halftime, it does do something to at least build confidence after the couple turnovers they've had today have resulted in short fields and then points for LSU.
Yeah, I like what you said. They're building confidence offensively. You didn't know what the game plan was going to be coming in. Was it going to be a tight end or 11 personnel type of game? They went into 4 wide receivers, and they haven't taken advantage so far of getting the ball to the wide receivers because of the defense so stout for LSU.
They brought in Cam McKnight, the redshirt senior, just his 8th carry of the year. But a good one there, plowing right through the center of the defense. And there's an injured Tiger at the end of the play.
Looks like
Rashard Lawrence, the defensive end.
Getting up real slow. Guy had a big game last week. See if he's all right.
ESPN, home of the college football playoff.
Longest sustained drive of the game, 5 and change to go here in the second quarter for Jamar Smith and Louisiana Tech as they look to beat an AP top 25 team for the first time in 27 tries.
You look for a screen play here if you're LSU on defense. Louisiana Tech called 2 plays in the huddle to get right back on the ball.
And it's a quick delivery for C.J. Powell. He turned, he caught it, and went upfield. Last week earned a full scholarship after coming to Ruston as a preferred walk-on. He'd been offered by McNeese State. Coaching change, as it often happens in college athletics, leads players to reconsider where they want to go. A lot of times it's not always the school but the coach who they want to go with, and now he's found himself a home with Skip Holtz.
You find an offense that gives the ball to pretty much everyone. Everyone wait for their number to get called. That's the reason why you go to Louisiana Tech.
The pitch for Dancy, and it was White playing human backpack, taking him out of bounds.
You ever get excited watching film? I get excited during the weeks watching film. Last week, it was Deshaun Davis at Auburn, and then also 40, Devin White, the linebacker, just getting there. But you just watch some of the plays that this defense makes. Grant Delpit over there making plays, but it's Devin White, to me, is the one that really makes this defense go.
Second down, and the ball is swatted And incomplete. White again helps lead the charge. You asked me if I ever get excited watching film. Honestly, how many people do you think at home answered yes? It's got to be less than 10%, right? You know, that's a very esoteric question.
But I get excited, especially for me, a former linebacker in the National Football League, when you see great linebacker play, and that's 40, Devin White. Not only you see him chase guys down that time, knocking a pass away. If you're Louisiana Tech, you better find 40. Make sure you've got a designated blocker for him, because he's a one-man wrecking crew so far.
Smith off his back foot on third down, picks up the first down, a couple of spins, a stretch, and a touchdown for Louisiana Tech. It's Adrian Hardy with the extra effort and a 20-yard score. Bailey Hale with the extra point, and he sends it through to slice the lead to 17 for the Tigers.
That's the answer that you needed for Louisiana Tech. It all starts with what? Blocking number 40. They do that. They have a blocker right for him. Somebody standing there. Once you get 40 out of the way, now you give your quarterback the opportunity, the ability to throw the football, and then you just have want to. That's Hardy making the catch in an effort. You can't talk enough about effort. Hardy extending the football. That was a huge drive for Louisiana Tech to get some points on the board, but the sustained drive by the offense, Smith holding his hands in the air, that's something you get excited about over there on the sideline.
Longest drive of the day for them. Almost 4 minutes coming off the clock. And LSU's going to get the ball back. You go back to their final drive against Auburn. They took all the time off the clock to win the game, and here they'll have plenty of time to pick up another score if they can before the break.
You're starting to read my mind. It's the first thing I thought of. 4-minute offense for LSU.
It's coming out to the 25.
First down for the Tigers.
Hey, let me tell you about next Saturday on ABC. It'll be an exciting game, a top 10 matchup. Ohio State and Penn State at Beaver Stadium. Ohio State dealing with the loss of Nick Bosa, and Penn State, we saw the red zone numbers for LSU before. A perfect 22 for 22 in the red zone. And they followed up by blowing out Illinois last night, 63-24. Put 35 on them in the fourth quarter.
Big matchup. We talk about Death Valley down here at LSU. We go to Happy Valley next week and watch that big game. And Trace McSorley, watching him, it's going to be an outstanding game next Saturday night.
Burrow on the roll, connecting with his tight end, Foster Morrow. Talked about how crucial he's been to the run game, just his third catch of the season.
Trace McSorley, just what he's been able to do. Look, when you have quarterbacks that have experience, if I'm Coach Franklin over at Penn State, James Franklin, what I'm doing, I just give the football to Trace and let him dissect what the defense is doing and let him just go out there and play. It's a luxury that Penn State has at the quarterback position.
That can be a differentiator, how they pulled away, scoring 42 unanswered against Lovie Smith's squad in a game that was closer than I think a lot of people expected through the first two quarters. Couple of jukes for Edwards-Helaire is good enough for a first down and then some. Still with 3.5 minutes to go. They're already into Louisiana Tech territory.
The one thing I like about Helaire is this. He's 5'9", 212 pounds. So he looks more like a scat back, but when you see his legs, when you see he keeps those legs moving and churning, he's a difficult guy to tackle. Already a low center of gravity, but he runs extremely hard, forcing defenders to have to fully wrap him up. That's why he gets those big yards after contact.
After his long run, he's spelled by Brosette on first down. Burrow incomplete. L'Jarius Sneed had an opportunity there defensively. You can stream college football all season long on ESPN Plus, so start your free trial today. Download the ESPN app or online. Go to ESPNplus.com. All your college football, live streaming sports on your phone or your tablet or your computer for a great low price. Curry coming to the sideline. A flag falls at midfield. Second carry for the freshman today.
I think we may get another one of those chop blocks, seeing an offensive lineman go down to the ground.
Holding, number 74 on the offense. 10-yard penalty, replay, second down.
That's Traore, the left tackle, with his first career start today. And his reviews from his offensive coordinator, Steve Ensminger, mixed over the first couple of games. He said he played well against Miami in that opener. Against Southeastern Louisiana, not as well.
Yeah, you watch 74, and then look, you got to watch both of the guys. It's not just 74. I talked about it, Foster Moreau, the tight end, being able to help out his tackle. But Foster Moreau, I call him an extension of the offensive line. He's almost like an extra tackle out there who just happens to catch the football. Big-time player for the offense.
After the penalty, they need 20 yards for the first down, and they get a huge chunk back. No, incomplete, looking for Anderson over the middle. Ensminger, the former LSU quarterback from 76 to 79. Happy belated birthday, by the way, a week ago. Celebrated his 60th birthday. Said, how'd you celebrate? He said, well, we won. And his family was there. He got on the plane, got some sleep, and he said that was a gift good enough.
Yeah, right back to work on Sunday, he said, for another opponent. This team is definitely showing what they can do offensively with Ensminger calling the plays.
Burrow across the middle. It's incomplete again. So we said they had time to burn off the clock here, and they'll leave more than 2 minutes remaining after a punt for the Bulldogs.
Well, the one thing that you hate is when you have penalties. Penalties back you up. They hurt you, and that's what happened on that drive. You get the holding penalty on Traore, and then that's what not only hurts your offense, but it hurts the rhythm. This offensive line has definitely had a rhythm going, and that breaks it all up, forcing you to have to throw on long distances.
A bounce down to the 12.
First down.
So 24-7 here. LSU in the lead. Louisiana Tech has the ball here. A crucial possession for them because they won the toss, kicked it away, so they're going to get it back coming to start the second half here. What do you look for from them as they try and get a quick strike and a score?
Well, I think the biggest thing for them is to continue not just running the football, but they got to take shots down the field. That's how you're going to beat an outstanding defense. I mentioned it last week with LSU. You watch them against Auburn. Not only did they take the shots down the field, but they were able to not only create big plays, but also got some pass interference calls in there. You got to take chances when you get them. That's the only way you beat this football team.
Strong grasp on the ball there from Israel Tucker, who got thrown into the fire in a major way last year. His first career action came against Mississippi State. So how's that for starting your college career? On a zip line toward the sideline, Teddy Veal, now in his third year at Louisiana Tech, the transfer from Tulane. And against major opponents, there have been close calls for Louisiana Tech over the last few years. Last year, a loss by 1 against South Carolina, lost by 1 against Arkansas a couple of years ago, and went to triple overtime against Kansas State in 2015. And so far, we've not seen the propensity to take those shots downfield. And LSU uses its first timeout to stop the clock at $1:31.
Well, it's hard to take shots down the field when you got Michael Divinity, the outside linebacker, the junior rusher coming off the edge. Somebody's got to block him. If you don't block him, this is what happens. He comes free. That's easy. That's just find ball, seek ball, get ball carrier down. That's a big play. He's telling everybody, look, you better block me. You know, watching him last week, I thought he had a terrific game versus Auburn. He went in and got a sack, but I thought he held the edge in the run game. Didn't allow the balls to get outside of him. He kept the ball inside and allowed Devin White, he allowed Delpit, the safety, to come inside out, to go east and west and grab ball carries before they can truly get to the sideline. He's a big-time player for this defense. Probably doesn't get the statistics, but definitely one of those guys that you look at on tape, not enough credit for what he does for everyone else on the defense.
Dyer, the native Australian. Not a beauty, but it settles at the 46. Make sure you stay with us at the half as we'll go back to the studio and get you caught up on the day's action in college football, including a major surprise, Old Dominion taking down Virginia Tech, a surprise in the Commonwealth. #1 Alabama continues to roll. That's a game that we've heard a lot about here this week, despite it only being week 4. And Urban Meyer makes his return. Of course, the big game next Saturday against Penn State. They take on Tulane this afternoon. So time and good field position here for the Tigers. Burrow's got 4 options, none of them great. It's Justin Jefferson along the sideline.
That's a name I thought we were going to hear more of, Justin Jefferson. We're not talking enough about Amik Robertson, the cornerback, the sophomore, the best player outside of Ferguson on defense. Ferguson's up front. Amik Robertson, the corner up top, definitely so far has been shutting out Justin Jefferson for the most part this half.
Burrow's flushed and into a bracketed coverage on D. Anderson, incomplete. That's the thing about a corner who's really good, is his name doesn't always come up as much because either he doesn't have the opportunity to make a play or the ball just doesn't come his way.
Well, Amik Robertson, look, that's another guy we talked about with Coach Ogeron yesterday. He talked about there's certain players that, look, in the state of Louisiana, he wish he could get them all. And Amik Robertson is 5'9", 180 pounds. People thought he was a bit undersized, but you turn on the tape, he plays much bigger than his height. He plays about a 6-foot corner, 190 pounds, but only at 180, feisty. Definitely a guy you got to watch out.
Here comes the heat, pocket collapses, ball is loose, and the Bulldogs pounce. Keontae Gardner leading the pile. They've got it at the 35-yard line with 35 seconds. Second turnover, or rather first turnover forced by the Bulldogs.
Well, he came in with 28.5 sacks. He leads FBS for career sacks, but Jalen Ferguson, there's a reason why NFL scouts are here. Yes, for a lot of LSU players, but also the player wearing 45 in white. Ferguson gets up the field, beats Deculus, and look what he does. He goes after the football. This is the way that he's been showing not only his defense, but all across FBS, why he's one of the best at rushing the passer.
First turnover this year for LSU. They came in as the only FBS team without a turnover. The list at 0 is no more. Bulldogs have a chance to take a shot. And Smith overthrows it for Smith. You still are intending the pass for Alfred.
You still got to take those shots, those opportunities. Try to catch the defense on its heels. You kind of sense now that you thought LSU had settled in. They get off to the 24-0 lead, and then all of a sudden you get a score from Louisiana Tech. Now the turnover, and now if you're Louisiana Tech, you just want to get points. A touchdown will be a plus, but how do you get this thing in the field goal range with 30 seconds left and go in feeling really good about yourself? Only down a couple scores.
Flag down back at the 42. Looks like it may be a hold against the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I think they may get 74. O'Shea Dugas, the left tackle. It's always hard for those offensive linemen when the quarterback gets out of the pocket because you don't know where he's at. Look to be one of those offensive
Holding,
lineman on the left.
number 74 on the offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay, second down.
Exactly as you called it against the senior, a preseason first-teamer in Conference USA.
Well, he's their best player. He's their best player along the offensive line. He's doing a good job. He's got the defender right there in front of him, but when the quarterback goes out of the pocket, you know, Dugas doesn't know where to go. And then sometimes you get those veteran guys in there. Fiocco, the same thing, knowing you throw your arms up in the air. That's a veteran move by the junior from Hawaii.
Smith's got to run. He slides. They've got all 3 timeouts. Skip Holtz quickly out onto the field to make sure he stops the clock after 8 ticks
Louisiana Tech.
wind off on that play.
This will be a 30-second timeout.
We talk a lot about O'Shea Dugas, the left tackle, the biggest guy out of 6'5", 330 pounds. But that time, Brendan Fiocco, that showing you the strength.
Man's game.
We had a fun time talking with Fiocco yesterday.
That play belies the gregarious personality that Braden Fehoko is. Here's a guy who grew up on Hawaii, and his dad, Vili, worked at the Polynesian Cultural Center. June Jones, head coach at Hawaii in the late 90s, went and took his team to a show there. It's the luau, it's the whole experience. And he said, Vili, I want you to come be the live in-stadium mascot for Hawaii, and he did that for almost 15 years. And Braden was part of the show, too. He said they'd get in the truck that had Vili the Warrior painted on the back, and it would be crowds lined up in traffic outside the stadium. Cars would move over to let them go through because people were so excited about the family's performances.
And the thing, look, I went to San Diego State. Remember going to play at Hawaii while June Jones was the coach, seeing Fiocco's dad out there. Look, he had that place in Hawaii rocking for the football games. And watching his son play right now, one of the heart and soul players along that defensive front, showing off a little power on that last play.
Early motion along the line. And a short drop off. Dancy gets down to the 31-yard line.
I think they may get Divinity off sides here, but the thing is, there's a positive play. You only get 5 yards with the penalty, but you got a positive play that gets you closer to field goal range. Be interesting to see what Skip Holtz does here in terms of, does he take the play, which is a lot closer, or does he take the 5-yard penalty, which only gives him an extra down? If I was him, I would take the play. I got 6 seconds left, still got a couple timeouts, give me one opportunity to throw another pass to get more yards. I would decline the penalty and keep the play.
On the defense, number 45. That penalty is declined. Result of the play is 4th down.
Get as close as they can here. Ball at the 32. It's setting up for a long field goal, somewhere around 49 yards. But like you said, if they can get this to 24-10, get the ball back to start the 3rd quarter, score there, all of a sudden, it could be a 1-touchdown game if things go the way that the Bulldogs hope.
Yeah, but I think I would try to get a couple extra yards. You got 6 seconds and a timeout. Try for the out route. If it's not there, throw it away. See if you can steal 5 yards, but it's a long field goal here by Hill.
The uprights and no good. Disappointing finish to the first 30 minutes for Louisiana Tech. On the bright side, they get the ball back to start the second half. The long this year for Hale, the transfer from Eastern New Mexico in Division II, was only 24. Almost had it. Comes up just wide. The Tigers, the big lead at the break.
ESPN app now with ESPN Plus. Get more ESPN and download now.
Welcome back to ESPN College Football, presented by Dr. Pepper, as we get ready for the start of the second half. Here in Baton Rouge, the LSU Tigers, who have ascended to 6th in the country through 3 weeks, are up 24-7. Their defense forced 2 turnovers in the first half and turned that into 14 points. And they've used the ground game a lot to their advantage here so far today. A double-headed attack to help out Joe Burrow as they look to start off the season 4-0.
Yeah, you thought it was going to be the Joe Burrow show after the way that he performed versus Auburn, but it's been the run game, especially when you've got 2 new guys on the offensive line. You got a true freshman at guard and you got a new offensive tackle. It's been the run game that's really allowed this LSU offense to take flight. 3 rushing touchdowns in the first half.
Through 4 games, it's been a revolving door on the offensive line for LSU, and yet they've gone to the left side for a significant portion of those runs. Louisiana Tech, a missed field goal, closed out the first half, and as they won the opening kickoff, deferred their option. They get the ball here to start the 3rd quarter. First half, Jamar Smith returns as a starter this year at quarterback for Louisiana Tech under Skip Holtz. Just 10 for 22 through the air as he came under a lot of pressure.
But it was, to me, a confidence-building drive, their last 2 of the first half. They got points on the second to last drive and then getting all the way down the missed field goal, but you saw them get some push. Definitely something that they can work with when they went in at half. To talk about adjustments.
Picked up 3 yards, 7 on 7, 28-yard line.
After a gain of 3, a nice whistling ball out to Teddy Veal, team leader in catches a year ago, and Veal hauls it in for a gain of 15.
It's the first time you saw great protection truly up front for Louisiana Tech. They picked up the blitzing linebacker and gave Smith just a little bit of time to get the ball to the outside. That's something that you want to see more of for Louisiana Tech this half. It's the run game opening up those lanes for the pass, especially balls to the outside.
Smith pursued from the backside and just shovels it with 2 hands. Getting it out of bounds is Jacob Phillips, the sophomore from Nashville, nearly brought him down for a big loss.
That's the one thing coaches cannot teach. That's hustle. Number 6, Jacob Phillips, comes from the outside.
There is no foul for intentional grounding. Number 9
does not want to be blocked. You cannot block Phillips. That's a terrific job right there by the sophomore from Nashville, just making a play, coming all the way from the other side of the field. That's the relentless pursuit. Relentless pursuit that Aranda talks about with his defense. A lot of young players still, and it's funny to think that he's got a lot of sophomores and juniors who were freshmen and sophomores a year ago, but yet they feel like they've taken a jump defensively that they're almost like 4-year starters.
First wave doesn't make the stop. Israel Tucker brought down by Glenn Logan along the defensive line. Grant Delpit, the sophomore out of Houston, providing some great coverage, had an interception last week, injured earlier in this game.
Yeah, walked off the field holding that, looked to be right arm. That's a blow to this defense for LSU.
It's Adrian Hardy. He's got his 5th catch of the day, most for any on the Bulldogs roster. Originally signed to play at Oklahoma and then changed his mind and ended up in Ruston.
Yeah, he had 6 catches last week. You mentioned he's already got a couple big-time catches today. But it all really starts up front. When you have the amount of time that Jamar Smith had so far this half, they've seen something within this LSU defense. They are not only taking their time now, they're not up-tempo. They're allowing the routes to develop and letting Smith kind of pick where he wants to throw the football.
He navigates his way into an open space, and right between the hash marks, it's Hardy again. And an oblong leather mic drop there as he comes up with the catch. 30 yards.
Yeah, it's a terrific route, but you got to watch the quarterback. What does he do? He finds a way to step up. He evades the rush. That's pocket presence by Jamar Smith. This is the second-year starter now, showing you what he's been able to do and develop. It was funny to talk to his offensive coordinator, Todd Fitch, and Fitch told us basically, look, he's a better game manager. He understands situations. That time the situation was step up in the pocket and deliver a nice throw. That's what he did on the last play.
Rashid Bonnet around the outside, hooked out at the 10-yard line. He gets the spot forward to the 9, taken down by Todd Harris.
Rhythm, rhythm, rhythm. Louisiana Tech's in a nice rhythm right now. The quarterback's in a rhythm, completed his last couple footballs. And then on top of that, you're starting to see this defense look to be on its heels. But that's a good sign right there, seeing Grant Delpit trying to get warmed back up over there on the exercise bike.
Similar look for Bonnet. It's been the best drive of the game for the Bulldogs by a wide margin. A team that's 2-0, coming in with a 4-point win over South Alabama. And then you have to go all the way back to the 8th of this month. They played Southern and won 54-17. So playing from behind, trying to get closer against number 6 LSU.
It's been a nice drive for Israel Tucker. He had a great block earlier to pick up a blitzer. Then he gets the ball, converts on first down. Fresh set of downs inside the 5 for Louisiana Tech.
Immediately swallowed up. Phillips providing the pressure, bursting through the line. Happy about the result of that play.
To me, this is a situation now where you got to get 7 here. You don't want the 3. If I'm Todd Fitch, the offensive coordinator for Louisiana Tech, I have to use my quarterback here. He has not used the legs of Jamar Smith. I'm surprised at that. You put him in shotgun. I think you spread him out, these receivers, and let him pick a hole. You put the ball in your quarterback's hands in this situation. I think you have to utilize his legs down here by the goal line, allow his quarterback to run one in. I think it will definitely fool this defense of LSU.
The only time we've seen him take off is when he's been flushed out of the pocket. 2nd and goal. McKnight goes left. Got originally stood up by White, the linebacker, in the second wave of purple and gold. Stops him from the goal line.
You're not going to consistently run on this defense. They're too stingy. They are aggressive. They get off the football. They disrupt the run game. This is something where the quarterback has to make a play on his own.
La Tech back to it quickly. And that's exactly what you just said. Can't do it consistently. They wanted to get back to it, saw perhaps some success, and it didn't work out. Ed Paris was in there in place of Delpit, helping to stone them, and it's 4th and goal.
It's 4th and goal here, and this is opportunity that, to me, I would just kick it. Honestly, I know what you're thinking. You got this offense all the way down here. You got the defense on his heels. But look, I kicked the 3. I make it a 2-possession game. It was your best drive, but you didn't call your best play on 3rd down. Now you've got to rush.
Out of the pocket, the stretch, touchdown to Louisiana Tech. A gutsy move to go for it, and Bobby Holly is the recipient for the touchdown.
Gutsy call, 4th down. You throw to a guy who only had 1 catch coming in, and Holly gets up with a little excitement, the spike in the football. Skip Holt's gutsy call right there. You get down in that. I thought they wasted a 3rd down play, but 4th down you had your best call. I like the call, getting Jamar Smith on the move. That was an easy pitch and catch.
In the way we talked about Joe Burrow's performance last week and LSU's win against Auburn, wasn't always great, but he came up big when he needed to. La Tech has done the same tonight. 2 touchdowns. Their first came on 3rd and 11, and this one where the game could have turned 4th and goal. They make it a 10-point game in Death Valley. Sellout crowd here in Baton Rouge as you're watching the SEC on ESPN. First sellout that brings more than 100,000. 102 and change the capacity here at Tiger Stadium since a game against Alabama late in the season in 2016. Off a short kick, it's returned out just to about the 25-yard line by Edwards-Helaire. Now for our championship drive update brought to you by Dr. Pepper. Alabama continues to cruise, winning 45-23 against Texas A&M. Georgia with a win on the road against Missouri. Jake Fromm, 3 touchdowns, and Notre Dame with a change at quarterback. Well, that paid off.
5 touchdowns. Look, Alabama's making the 2-quarterback system look seamlessly easy. Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Hurts putting Hurts on teams in the SEC.
Brissett gains the line of scrimmage and not much more on first down. You know, there's a lot of talk this week about where should LSU be in the top 25 after 2 top 10 wins. And then the question becomes, well, let's zoom out a little bit and say, okay, well, against the other 5 teams ahead of them in the top 25, there's a catch for a first down across the middle for Morrow. His 3rd catch of the night. Would you take LSU to win against any of the teams ahead of them on a neutral field? And the answer right now is probably not.
Yeah, probably not. But just how impressive have these wins been? Look, they beat Miami on a neutral field, and they go to Auburn and win a football game. Those are impressive wins. But I think we are going to measure LSU with the remaining schedule of the big games they still have coming up. You got the Ole Miss here at Florida, but it's that gauntlet at home versus Georgia, Mississippi State, and Alabama. We'll know more about LSU as the season continues to go on. But it's games like this right now that you can fall trap into looking ahead at versus Ole Miss next week here at home and then at Florida. But I agree with you. Right now, you look at the resume speaks for itself. But then you look at what Alabama's been able to do today. And
the amazing offensive output that they've turned out this year. But if the Tigers keep winning, a lot of that takes care of itself. Oregon off to a 3-0 start for the 2nd straight year, but trying to bulk up their schedule as they go along into conference play.
Justin Herbert, quarterback. Just remember that name. That quarterback climbing up the charts, Todd McShay, Mel Kiper.
And Kentucky, if they get a win tonight, they'd be 4-0 for the first time in 10 years.
Look at Kentucky making some noise in the SEC East. But this LSU offense, they have to get on track here in the second half. It's kind of that lull in the game. You can kind of sense it here. The fans are a little bit quiet, waiting for the big play to happen. But this is the money down for Joe Burrow.
Under pressure, 3rd down and 7. Now off the back foot and a floater to the sideline. So 2 straight that end up almost in the seats for Burrow. The Bulldogs defense makes a stand. 4th and 7. They get the ball back here down by just 10.
That play doesn't go in the stat book as a sack, and it should for Jalen Ferguson, number 45, the defensive end for Louisiana Tech. Just his pressure alone forced Joe Burrow to have to get out of the pocket. There was no one there to throw to. He had to throw the ball away. Ferguson making an impact already with the sack earlier, forced fumble, getting the ball to his offense. But that last play forced Burrow out of the pocket to have to throw it away.
Fair catch called for. And the pump by Groudon is taken at the 16-yard line. Bulldogs can make some noise when we come back.
He's not on the field.
Well, extra yard for teachers, a week-long celebration of teachers from the College Football Playoff Foundation. And Jaquise Dancy is a thankful guy.
I remember a teacher in high school named Miss Henry, and she always pushed me to do better at things. Whether it was football, in the classroom, or just anything in general, she always wanted me to do my best. And it really took me a long way, and I just want to say thank you to all the teachers and professors out there that inspire all the student athletes.
And for more on the extra yard for teachers, you can go visit the College Football Playoff Foundation website at cfp-foundation.org to learn more about Extra Yard for Teachers Week and see how you can get involved.
Sometimes you never know which teacher is the one that influences you the most. I know for me, going back into my high school days, for me it was my English teacher, because she always challenged me. And you could tell by my text messaging to you that I've got great grammar, right?
Your use of the Oxford comma is lacking sometimes. Very disappointing. 2nd down and 10 here for Louisiana Tech. Down by 10. The Tigers brought 3, and it's 3rd down and 10 on the way. My biggest influence as a teacher was Mr. Paul Davis in high school, 9th grade history.
Yes.
Every class he'd start out, greetings and salutations, brilliant young minds of America, and that would wake you up. A brilliant young defender. Grant Delpit is back out onto the field now after missing a good chunk of time, got injured in the first half, was on the bike, and he's now back out onto the field.
Well, he's a guy that'll wake you up really quickly, especially on this defense. And he's got his running mate back, John Battle, number 26. Had to sit out the first half due to suspension for targeting last week. Now LSU whole on the safety position.
The empty backfield. The Tigers bring 4. Smith with a drop off over the middle. As he finds Veal, his most frequent target. And that was a nice job to escape. You called for it, asking earlier to see if he could get some design runs, but that time uses the legs to escape and keep things going.
Well, he hasn't really gotten out of the pocket to make some things happen in terms of just running the football. I think it puts pressure on the defense, but every time he gets right at the line of scrimmage, he lets the ball go. And when you throw the football, LSU defenders will be near.
That could have been a Sports Center top 10 play had that ended up being a completion, trying to go for something spectacular for Hardy.
Well, I'll tell you, I give him just credit for trying to throw the ball like Greedy Williams, the outstanding sophomore cornerback for LSU. And it was great talking to Coach Aranda yesterday, defensive coordinator at LSU, about Greedy Williams, the sophomore, and going up against this offense. Because, look, you're going to get your opportunities playing against Louisiana Tech. They're going to throw the ball. They're going to put the ball in the air. These defensive backs know they've got opportunities to knock the ball up and get some interceptions.
Quick burst. Tigers didn't recognize screen as quickly as they would have liked. Out past the 40-yard line for Tucker. He picks up 15 yards in a burst.
Yeah, nice play call there. They read the pressure of LSU. They allow the pressure to get up the field. You throw a nice screen behind it. You get a nice little block right there by the right guard, Ethan Reed. That's a terrific job by Louisiana Tech, just finding the play that you think can throw this defense off. Very aggressive, Aranda's bunch. But that time you throw the screen right behind that rush, pick up a positive play.
McKnight helmet to helmet as he bursts through Battle just into the game after his first half suspension, and they dig further into LSU territory.
I love the emotion. I love the emotion. Cam McKnight, fifth-year senior, getting the opportunity to play here against LSU. You don't think he's fired up? A Louisiana kid from Ethel, Louisiana. No, he's got some family here. showing a nice little excitement, a little burst, and a nice finish.
Only carried the ball 30 times in the last 2 years. Getting a huge stage tonight. Flag down, overthrown over the head of Hardy.
I wonder if we get illegal formation here, possibly.
Illegal formation on the offense. 5 players in the backfield. 5-yard penalty, replay, first down.
I didn't see any movement along the line of scrimmage by the offensive line, but I think you have to look at when you have this many receivers coming in and out, you have to communicate. Okay, who's going to be on? Who's going to be off? And I think you look at the offensive line, especially the right tackle. Looks like it was Hunter Shipley. Maybe a little bit far in the backfield. Offensive linemen always try to get away with that. They try to get an extra step to give them the better angle. Now look at Shipley now, the right tackle, 54, all the way up on that line of scrimmage.
Well, after you said that, no wonder what position you played. Spoken like a former linebacker. Smith sidearms it, and it's incomplete. See the different arm angle there from Jamar Smith, a guy who was drafted by the San Diego Padres in the 24th round of the MLB draft back in 2015. That was a pretty big draft. LSU fans will remember Alex Bregman, who's now in Houston, heading for the playoffs. Dansby Swanson out of Vanderbilt, now with the Braves, headed for the playoffs. And Andrew Benintendi out of Arkansas, the Red Sox, also headed for the playoffs. And he'll be on Sunday Night Baseball tomorrow night as well against the Indians from Cleveland.
You couldn't wait to drop that baseball knowledge, huh? You waited all week for that, huh? I love it. I love it.
This looks like a rejuvenated offense right now. Going to the air, side to side. That was what Dave Aranda was a little bit worried about coming into this game, was how much would they try and change things from sideline to sideline.
But what else do you notice? It's not up-tempo. It's not hurry up. It's getting lined up, getting to the line of scrimmage, looking over there. And look, you're starting to see this LSU defense look a little bit tired. I know it's still the beginning of almost 3/4 of the way through this third quarter, but these are the type of drives that Louisiana Tech, they've been needing all game.
On 3rd and 8, standing tall and defended beautifully by Phillips. That might be the name we've called most often tonight, the middle linebacker for LSU.
Yeah, because the versatility. He's a guy that doesn't come off the field. And what have we seen him do today? It's been what? You've seen him blitz off the edge. You've seen Phillips line up in the middle. And now you've seen him chase down wide receivers. A nice complete package of linebackers. We talked Devin White, 40 already. We've talked Jacob Phillips, Divinity earlier, the outside guy. You got nice levels of play from the secondary to the linebackers and that defensive line. They get off the field on 3rd down, which has been crucial for them today.
Dyer's got a chance to pin the Tigers back deep in their own territory. Fair catch at the 9-yard line.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by the all-new totally remixed Volkswagen Jetta and Vicks.
Welcome back to ESPN College Football, presented by Dr. Pepper. Mike Cousins along with Kirk Morrison, the former NFL and San Diego State linebacking standout. A 10-point game as LSU takes over here inside its own 10 and gets ready for just its 7th snap of the quarter. Gotta like that play call. It got them a touchdown on a one-play drive earlier in this game. Same look, same running back, Edwards-Helaire.
We haven't really talked enough about Blake Baker, though. We haven't talked about the defensive coordinator for Louisiana Tech and the adjustments that he's made so far in the second half. He's really bottled the run up, and he's now forcing Joe Burrow to have to beat him with his arm.
Edwards-Helaire again on 2nd down and 10. Bulldogs have to feel good right now. They're right in this thing. And another stop here on 3rd down. They could force a punt and set themselves up with great field position, because you look back to when they had the 4th down where they punted. It took the offense a good 5 to 10 seconds to come off the field, as if they were thinking about, hey, do we go for it, do we not? Nice step up and a throw for the 1st down to Chase from Burrow.
Yeah, that time no Jalen Ferguson on the field for Louisiana Tech, and LSU takes full advantage. He's not out there. You see a little bit of extra time for Joe Burrow to scan the defense, find the guy that he wants to get the ball to, delivers a strike. That's a nice play to keep the chains moving, but also get this offense kick-started. Kind of sleepwalking so far this second half.
Burrow's on the move. And a 1st down with the legs. We were talking a little baseball earlier. Sunday Night Baseball is presented by Taco Bell. It's at a special time this week as we near the end of the regular season. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. You've got an MVP candidate showcase between Boston and Cleveland. Mookie Betts, J.D. Martinez for Boston, Jose Ramirez, who's in that top 5 group there. Coverage starts 6 Eastern on ESPN2 with baseball tonight. Sunday night countdown of the game at 7. It's all on the ESPN app as well. One of the things that the staff said about Joe Burrow is, here's a guy who is only making his 4th start at the college level, major significant action, but the way he sees the game separates him from a lot of his contemporaries.
Now, that's the one thing they liked when he came on his visit at LSU, was how much football, how much knowledge that he had, especially with the offense that they run here now. Steve Ensminger is still learning his quarterback, but the knowledge that he has, something that he just couldn't teach.
Penetration and an instant tackle from James Jackson. Soaring through to tear Brosette down at the ankles.
Blake Baker just sending run blitzes, run stunts, telling his guys to get up the field, bottle up the run. Watch Jackson here. He's on the left side of the screen. He reads run, and just watch how he comes up and just makes a play. Sheds a tackler. Sheds a blocker. Get up the field. Make a play. Celebrate with your teammates. It's a different Louisiana Tech football team this second half than what we saw earlier in the football game.
Burrow pressured, falls as he throws, and it's incomplete. They needed to get to the 44-yard line. The Bulldogs ratchet it up against the redshirt junior quarterback, and they bring on the punt team.
And it's Ferguson again. We've been calling his name. He doesn't have the stats. He doesn't have the sacks, but 45 in white. It's just the pressure, and Burrow feels it. He feels that pressure. It's not a sack, but tell you, that play forces Burrow to have to throw the ball out of bounds. That's the reason why a lot of NFL scouts are here looking at number 45 for the next level, the NFL.
You go back all the way to the recruiting. Him and Amik Robertson, 2 guys who are Power 5 talents. Ferguson committed to Louisiana Tech, had offers from Tennessee, Ole Miss, among others, but felt like he wanted to honor his commitment and stay with the Bulldogs. This season, for every field goal and extra point made by participating universities, Allstate will make a contribution to the university's General Scholarship Fund. Thank you, Allstate. Another part of what Ferguson mentioned, the reason that he wanted to come back this year, his redshirt senior year, he had a son last year. Wanted to stay in college, felt like he could spend more time as a dad rather than going off becoming a pro, and then it's literally a job.
Yeah, and then also, too, look, he understands he can also boost his stock as well in the NFL draft and really support his family. This is a situation where the NFL are always looking for pass rushers, guys who can get after these quarterbacks.
55 seconds. 5-5.
But Ferguson tonight has definitely been a menace. And look, we talked about going in that Badara Traore, the left tackle, getting his first start. We didn't talk about the tackle on the right, the sophomore Austin Deculus, and right now he's had his hands full with Jalen Ferguson. They may need to look to help out Deculus on the right tackle before helping out on the left.
Smith looking deep. First long throw tonight. Adrian Hardy again. That's been his top target. He's caught 6 passes. The next closest receiver has 3 tonight. And there have been a lot of throws that have gone long from Smith.
And that's, you can see the disappointment in his face. He knew he had a step on the defender. It was Kelvin Joseph, the true freshman for LSU. He had a step and he just missed it. Those are the opportunities that you got to take full advantage of. Hardy's got a step and just overshot the wide receiver, did Smith.
Across the 35-yard line, it's Rashid Bonnet. Comeback season for him now as a redshirt junior who battled against a separated shoulder and concussion issues last year.
Great to see him back in the offense, getting to the flow of the game.
Alfred Smith. They call him Tarzan because of that long hair coming out of the helmet. Who will be beating their chest at the end of this game? Tigers, Bulldogs. 10 points, the gap between the number 6 team in the country and a squad looking for its first win against a top 25 opponent for the first time in 27 tries. Sellout crowd Saturday night in Death Valley. 15 minutes to decide a winner.
I get butterflies every time I walk into that stadium.
It's one of the top 5 atmospheres again in college football. Wish they'd save the whiteouts for other games.
That nervous energy, that's your body telling you you are ready.
Whiteout conditions next Saturday, 7:30 Eastern. Ohio State with a massive win over Tulane today, and Urban Meyer's return. Louisiana Tech looking for what would be a massive win. The last 51 home non-conference games, 50-1 record here for LSU. Mackenzie Milton, Friday night action. He's not looking for the Group of Fivesman award. That's the one that we created, by the way. He's going for the Heisman. Dwayne Haskins, who beat out Joe Burrow. Just 3 incompletions, and Tua Tagovailoa throws for 5 touchdowns in that win against A&M.
Some good quarterbacks on that list right there. It's going to be tough as this Heisman race starts to heat up as we get to the month of October.
I like to see Mackenzie Milton get that recognition.
Correct.
Of course, the whole story last year with UCF and this self-proclaimed national championship. But even, he can't do anything about his team's strength of schedule.
Correct.
But he can still be a very good player every week.
Well, you continue to win. You get the nation's longest winning streak right now. You just continue to keep doing what you do. You don't worry about anything else. You continue to win. You let it all take care of itself. But you keep putting up numbers like that. Milton definitely will find his way to the Downtown Athletic Club in early December.
Crowd was juiced on 3rd down and 6, and it goes to Hardy. His 7th catch of the night. He's over 100 yards, and he helps keep the Bulldogs drive alive, picking up 13.
You got to find windows. You got to find windows. And sometimes you're going to get hit. And 40 Devin White's bearing down, but he still delivers the strike. Sometimes you throw to an area, and this is the relationship and the chemistry that he's built with Hardy. You mentioned it earlier. That's been his best target all night. It's that chemistry that he knows he throws to an area, and Hardy's going to be there.
Back to throw his 41st pass of the night. And this one's looking deep at the goal line. And it's a touchdown. He finds Hardy again from 42 yards, and it's a ball game here in Baton Rouge.
I want you to see the route by Hardy. Not only does Smith have time, but the converted route. He's going like he's going to run a post. Then he converts it to a corner route. The ball lays right in his lap. A big play, touchdown, Louisiana Tech, and we have a ball game late night in Death Valley.
Think back, not long ago, it was 24-0 LSU. And Louisiana Tech, with a bye week to get ready, has made it a 3-point game. Welcome back to Baton Rouge and the SEC on ESPN. 12:57 to play between LSU and Louisiana Tech, and the Bulldogs have scored 21 unanswered. Going back to the second quarter, they were down 24-0, and a touchdown makes it a 3-point contest as Bailey Hale gets set to kick it away. From the 4-yard line, Edwards-Helaire carving out space, and is stopped short of the 30-yard line.
Going back to the touchdown, number 26, John Battle, remember, suspended for the first half of this football game, and Jamar Smith, the quarterback, looks to his right, gets Battle out of his position at the safety spot, and that created just enough of a window for Jamar Smith to get the ball to Hardy, who adjusted all the way around, got his body in a position to make the play. Smith, the great throw with the look off, and then the catch by Hardy for a touchdown. Excellent execution by the quarterback, using not only the elbow, the shoulder, and then coming all the way back to Hardy for a touchdown.
It's the big play they've been looking for but hadn't been able to find up until this point. How does LSU answer? Foster Morrow, catch number 4 tonight, had only 2 coming into the game. They wanted to get him more involved in the passing game, and they've done exactly that.
But they haven't taken the shots down the field, and that's what got them in the football game a week ago when they were down. Now it seems like they've kind of been cruising a little bit, taking the foot off the gas. They got to start pressing it down the field.
Here's a long shot, single coverage, and along the sideline, D. Anderson.
They may have to take a look at this one. Anderson, a little tightrope over at the end. Adjusts his body, gets up in the air.
The previous play is under further review. The ruling on the field was a catch.
28 yards as it stands for the play on the field.
Well, I think the things that you have to look at, first of all, when did he obtain possession of the football? And it looks to me that when he got possession of the ball, the foot that comes down first is the right foot when he obtains a possession. Or do they call the left foot first?
And does he hold it all the way through as well?
I think
he comes down to complete the catch, which it looks like he does.
He maintains possession. But I think if they call the right foot as the first foot down after gaining possession, it looks to me that that right toe may have been on the white. And if that's the case, they'll call that incomplete.
The standard they need here is indisputable video evidence to overturn the call of a catch on the field. I concur with you that when he got control, it seemed to be the right foot as the first that was down. And we've got a decision. Let's hear it.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It was a catch. First down, LSU. The game clock is not functioning properly. The game clock will be kept on the field.
I think they ruled that first foot.
The left foot?
Yes, the first foot was the left foot that came down. They thought he obtained possession with the football. That's what I have to think the replay official saw, is watch the left foot. He catches the football, and the left foot was down first, right when he obtained possession, right there. Still a little questionable, but
I don't necessarily. I could go with that the call stands.
Yes,
but I don't know that there's enough there to confirm it.
I agree with that one. That's what they had to go with, the call that was made on the field, a catch, and maybe not enough evidence, or not enough camera views for them to think, okay, overturn this one. I think LSU got a break with that one.
The game clock is at 12:14. It will be kept on the field.
So the clock, we're looking at the scoreboard, continues to run. Can't stop, won't stop for this game clock right now. Just continues to wind down.
That's always the difficult thing to have happen in a game, because now, look, you're trying to go into clock management as well on both sides. You want to know how much time you have in this football game. And right now, the officials will keep the time on the field. So we got to disregard the clocks in the stadium right now. The officials keeping the time on the field.
A 28-yard pickup, followed by a 3-yard gain on the ground.
11:56 in the third.
David Smith, the referee, just announced 11:56. So we'll see as it goes along if he just continues to announce it. Burrow threw it toward the sticks. And the marking is shy as Anderson's there for the catch.
I think also, too, remember the play clock is also not working. So the play clock is stuck at 25. So not only do we have a clock situation with the actual time of the game, but now the play clock is not working. And if you're LSU, you want to play a little clock management here. You want to bring that clock all the way down to about 4 or 5 seconds before you run your next play. But you have to go off the clock that the official has in terms of not only the play clock, but also the game clock.
It appears now they've at least managed to get the clock to stop as it's down to 9:25 and paused. As David Smith goes over to explain the situation to the LSU sideline.
He's got to explain it to both sidelines. You go to the home side and you go over to the away side and let Coach Holtz know what's going on with the clock situation. And I'm telling you, that's a coach right now. He wants to know. I want to make sure that I know how much time we've got and what's going on actually with the play clock as well. And what are the signals from the officials? So he's going over the officials by the signal.
There's 11 minutes and 33 seconds left in the fourth quarter. The play clock is not functioning properly either. It will be kept on the field by the back judge.
So everybody's just going to be shouting out instructions. It's like when you used to play kickball on the street and somebody saw a car come in and go, "Hey, car," and everybody's got to just get out of the way for a second. You come back.
But if I'm the quarterback and I want to know how much time do I have left, what's the 5-second call or what's the 10-second call to let you know? Or does the backside official actually use his hand like a clock hand?
Brosette powers forward.
Well, it won't matter if LSU continues to go back to the run game. And earlier in the game, a lot of success in between the tackles, the guards, Lewis, Cushenberry, Brumfield's been out. Chasen Hines, a true freshman, running behind those guys. A lot of success.
The carry for Brosette is his 18th of the night. 18 for him. Clyde Edwards-Helaire with 15. Burrow's thrown it 27 times. So the balance tipping a little bit more toward the run game. And you go back to 1950. LSU's only thrown the ball more than it's run it just once. And that was in the '99 season.
Nice drive by LSU right now. The hand signal by the officials.
Should be enough for a first down. You ever seen anything like this where the clock has malfunctioned? I mean, there's some times where it happens for a short amount of time, but for a sustained period where we devolve to hand signals?
I think in my Pop Warner days, where I think my mom was probably running the scoreboard as well.
Power football from Brissett, met by Jordan Bradford, team's leading tackler. Native Mississippian coming into this game, a guy who started every game over the last 2 years for them.
Official announces 9:53 left, and I think this is what LSU wants to do. They want to continue to run the football and run this clock down as much as they can. Get a score here will help.
They're looking to take their shot to get it inside the 5-yard line. Going for Anderson, and now it's 3rd down and 8.
Another drop by an LSU wide receiver. That's 4 drops today. We keep talking about the completion percentage for Joe Burrow. When you get 4 drops from your wide receivers, that doesn't help out the percentage as well. That was a first down. That could have had this ball inside the 5-yard line, possibly with goal to go. And now you sit back and you got to convert on this 3rd and 8 to keep the drive going.
16 for 28 through the air. Burrow's got 4 receivers into single coverage, into the end zone. A flag comes down as the ball hits the ground.
.932 left in the game. I think that's an easy call for the officials right there. He was right there in front. He saw a 24, the junior L'Jarius Sneed. Great coverage, but you got to turn your head around at the end. I thought that he was in a great position to make the play, but he didn't turn around.
Pass interference on the defense, number 24. Foul occurred in the end zone. The ball will be placed on the 2-yard line. First down.
He's in great position. Just turn around, look at the football. Just turn around, look at the football. He's locked up with Anderson. He turns around. I think the officials don't call that, but by him not turning around and keeping his hands locked on a receiver, that's an easy call for that official.
First and goal, Brissett to the left side. Pyle doesn't get him there. He's short at the 1.
If I'm LSU, I'm playing the clock game now too. Try to get as much of this clock down as possible and try to take away some of that momentum that the Louisiana Tech offense had built up. This is a nice drive by LSU.
9:13.
9:13 left now. I'm going to try to get this clock all the way down to about 9 minutes before I snap the football.
Loss of a yard there for Brissett. Bulldogs slicing right through the defense. Clock now under 9 minutes. 8:42 to go. If you've just joined us, the clock is malfunctioning and has been for a few minutes here inside Tiger Stadium. No active play clock, no active game clock on the scoreboard, so the officials are keeping time on the field. And it's 3rd and goal for LSU.
I think it's Joe Burrow time, number 9. I think you keep the ball in his hands. We saw it last week at Auburn. Give the ball to your quarterback. Let him run it in.
They spread him out, and a plunge at the goal line is in. 6 for LSU. Drive kept alive by a pass interference penalty. And that touchdown goes a long way with just over 8 minutes left. 8:06 as they can go up by 10 once again.
Yeah, but sometimes you just got to be right at the point of attack. And a terrific job getting his first start. The junior, Badara Traore, with a tremendous block. Crashing that thing all the way down. And Brissett, 221 pounds, 6 foot, coming right at you. Keeping those legs moving. Touchdown, LSU.
Cole Tracy's extra point is a beauty.
Chasen Hines, the true freshman, getting it going on the offensive line. And Brissett smelling the end zone. Another score for LSU.
ESPN College Football is presented by Ice Cold Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville, and in part by the new DQ $4 Burger and Blizzard deal at participating locations.
This might be the first halftime show that I've ever witnessed that played the Office theme song.
And Friends. Don't forget Friends. And Friends, The Office. They had all the old shows going today.
Even some of a Tom Haverford tribute. Treat yourself. There's a lot of people scratching their heads, but that's okay.
Yeah, and I'm scratching my head off the last call that in the last series. A questionable call here. Did D. Anderson get a foot in bounds when he made the catch? To me, I think it's almost indisputable evidence, but if I look at the replay, are they calling the left foot down? I don't know.
Well, that was what the officials said, but what we can't know 100% is did he have possession when the left foot was down? And because of the angle of the catch, can't know.
Yeah, I think they went with the call on the field. The play stood. Unfortunate break for Louisiana Tech.
Top target, Adrian Hardy, with a couple of touchdowns, gets his 9th catch. This goes for a first down. And you think back to the defensive stand there for the Bulldogs, the pass interference in the end zone,
yes.
And then LSU scores the touchdown, the 3rd of the night for Brissett. On the run, 3rd and goal. A stop on either of those plays to hold the Tigers to a field goal. You're looking at a very different game.
A totally different game. Now, Louisiana Tech's trying to score a touchdown.
Big time blitz. Alfred Smith, the intended recipient of the pass from Jamar Smith.
Yeah, they're trying to score a touchdown just to stay within this game now. A 10-point margin. Now it gives Aranda, the defensive coordinator for LSU, a little bit of breathing room now. Allow his secondary to kind of play off a little bit. Allow the routes to develop in front of him. Probably won't see this defense giving up the big play like we saw on the last drive for Louisiana Tech.
Incomplete. I've been impressed tonight by the number of times that Louisiana Tech, against a defensive line with much bigger, stronger players, has gone empty backfield, and that pocket has held up for Smith.
Yeah, 5. But the thing about it is LSU's only bringing 4. Louisiana Tech's got 5. So they've got 1 extra protector, and they can lean on someone. If a guy needs an extra helping hand, this communication up front has helped them out. But this is where LSU has been bringing Devin White, number 40, in these critical 3rd down situations. Keep an eye on 40 in purple.
A catch and a tumble at the 47-yard line. Just enough to get the first down for the Bulldogs.
Sometimes you got to stay high and inside if you're the defender. Grant Delpit back, he returned from injury. You get in that cover 1, that man-to-man coverage. You got to stay inside. Don't allow the defender to beat you across your face.
The previous play is under further review. The ruling on the field was the receiver made the first down.
Or did he?
So we'll take a look at that, a crucial play. We're also pleased to report all clocks are functioning at normal capacity once again. We had a brief outage for the game clock and the play clock, and they are working once again. Take a look at the replay and get the call when we come back. Welcome back to ESPN College Football, presented by Dr. Pepper. Louisiana Tech on the move, down by 10 here, 4th quarter. The play under review. Was the stretch enough for a first down? And the answer after review is no. It was a half-yard short. So off they go on 4th and half a yard. Bodies collide. 20 bodies at the 47-yard line. And how do you make that decision?
I'm telling you, this head linesman, or this line judge, I think he's short. He's at the 46.5-yard line. He needed to gain the 47. And just looking at this line judge right here, looks to be short. He didn't get it. Watch the push up front.
Please reset the game.
There wasn't one.
6 minutes, 54 seconds.
On the defensive front, it was. You got all the beef and everybody just got low. That's what you do in those situations. The defensive line, they got to get low.
Well, the LSU defense has not come up with a sack tonight, but that was as big a play as they've turned in the entire evening. Edwards-Helaire down near the 40. Let's take a look at what happened today in the world of college football with DirecTV's more for your college football thing. Oregon trying to get to 4-0, leading Stanford 24-7 late. Kentucky just going final against Mississippi State. That is a huge win for the Wildcats. They came in, according to ESPN's FPI, with just a 22% chance to get the win against Nick Fitzgerald and company. And they're 4-0 for the first time since 2008.
Outstanding game for Kentucky. Already on a roll right now. We knew it was different when they beat Florida. And now to beat Mississippi State, who some consider to be a threat in the SEC West. They've got to come here to play LSU. But now they come with a blemish on their record for sure.
And it's still late night action to come as well. Arizona State at Washington. That kicks 10:30 Eastern, so in about 15 minutes over on ESPN.
Arizona State trying to get back on the winning track after San Diego State beat them last week in San Diego. My alma mater had to throw that in there.
You seem to know that very quickly.
Just want to throw that out there. My Aztecs going to work, but.
And Washington's favored in this game. Right now, they've got the best chance, according to FPI, to make the college football playoff of any team in the Pac-12. So eyes are always on them, seeing, is this the week?
Is this the week? And you got to continue. Look, that Pac-12 North is a nice little battle. You just talked about the Oregon game. Oregon's going to knock off possibly Stanford tonight. And then it's going to be a two-way race. I think it's going to come down to Washington and Oregon. And Justin Herbert, if you haven't had a chance to watch him at Oregon, he is a pleasure. He is a delight to watch for the Oregon Ducks.
Edwards-Helaire kicks it to the outside. First down with a block in front. And he's inside the red zone. Tigers trying to bleed down as much clock as possible here. A 16-yard run as they hope to add to their 10-point lead. Salting this away against Louisiana Tech.
Brissett's already got 3 touchdowns, and then you just hand it off to Edwards-Helaire, and you see the burst that he has. He makes a guy miss, gets to the corner. It's a luxury to have 2 backs like LSU does, and you talk about the lineage of backs here at LSU from Geis, who's actually here today. You saw Darius Geis walking around. We know about Leonard Fournette, Jeremy Hill. It's a nice list of lineage of running backs over the last couple of years, now all in the NFL.
Outside again. Lowers the shoulder and thrusts forward at the 5-yard line. There's been a great lineage between quarterbacks and running backs coming out of LSU in terms of guys who have made it to the next level. 14 running backs drafted since 2000, most in the SEC, and 7 quarterbacks drafted since 2000, also tops in the league.
Think about it. Mettenberger drafted last year. Danny Etling drafted. by the New England Patriots. You get a lot of football players, and that's one thing I always look at week 1 of the NFL schedule. How many players from LSU on opening day NFL rosters? LSU always near the top.
Burrow going airborne. Second time tonight he's had a design run getting him outside the pocket. He's got no fear to get out there.
He's got no fear, but he's more athletic than you think. And I saw last week putting the ball in his hands in certain situations. I thought Steve Ensminger did a great job of getting him out on the perimeter versus Auburn. Auburn didn't see it coming. And I think that was their first time seeing this quarterback. And remember this, he's got 2 years of eligibility, not all of this year and next year. And each game, you start to see more and more confidence within him as he grows within this offense.
That's a rare find on the grad transfer market. Usually it's a guy who's got 1 year left. But to have 2, give him time to develop in the system.
I think they get 94, Jordan Bradford being nosy.
Offside defense, number 94. Penalty is half the distance to the goal. Second down.
Are you making a nose tackle joke?
Yeah, the nose tackle being nosy. You hate those penalties too, because you're the nose tackle. You're standing right next to the football. You let the football go, then you go. Those are the type of penalties that make a defensive coordinator go crazy.
Edwards-Helaire across the pile, and he's got the touchdown, his second of the night.
Credit again to the left side of that offensive line. 2 different players in there. Chasen Hines, the true freshman left guard. Badara Traore, the junior left tackle. And they just cave everything down to the right. And Edwards-Helaire just falls in right behind them. When you've got backup guys on the left side of your offensive line that are able to get pushed like that, that is rare in college football. Very rare. Sadiq Charles, number 77, he's out today with an injury. We saw Garrett Brumfield, the senior guard, hurt earlier in the game.
And Austin Deculus, the right tackle, is replacing the injured Adrian McGee.
This has been a patchwork offensive line the first couple weeks. 4 games, 4 different starters, and yet this offensive line keeps on chugging, keeps on plugging away, especially when you have 2 backs like that. Brissett and Edwards-Helaire. Is that a law firm? Possibly.
It's got enough surnames to certainly qualify. But the way they've played tonight, they've achieved partner. They're getting corner offices because they've combined for 43 carries, over 200 yards, and 5 touchdowns.
We can't forget about who LSU is as a football program. They've been mixing in the past with Joe Burrow, but let's not forget this is a running football team going back to their roots.
It's 38-21. 2:23 to go. LSU sitting pretty. Tonight on SportsCenter, 1:30 Eastern on ESPN, also on the ESPN app. Herbie and Chris Fowler will weigh in on tonight's Pac-12 showdown, Stanford and Oregon. Old Dominion, the Monarchs, taking down Virginia Tech. Huge shocker today, and reaction from Tiger Woods after his 3rd round action.
ODU. Sounds more like a basketball score than anything, right?
I couldn't even have a conversation with you at dinner last night. You were just too busy looking at the TV, checking the leaderboard. Where's Tiger? What's going on?
I got to know where Tiger is at all times.
Let's look at this week's college football playoff rankings, brought to you by PlayStation. Alabama continues to cruise. Oklahoma, wow, after they've poured on the points, goes to overtime against Army. Stanford and Oregon, a 10-point game right now, and as we talked about earlier, Notre Dame with a quarterback change leads to a big win.
Yeah, and then you look, I'm looking at Oklahoma. And Kyler Murray is also throwing himself into the Heisman Trophy contest. Another former baseball player, or we could say future baseball player.
He's got a lot of money sitting in investments right now. J.M. Smith, also baseball player who got drafted by the Padres back in 2015, elected to keep his college football career alive. 2:16 to go. Hey, this game really turned quick late in the second half. It was 24-0 LSU going back to the second quarter. La Tech gets on the board. They get the ball back to start the second half. They scored 21 unanswered, but a few calls, a few plays that go LSU's way, and things turn different. Smith sacked for the first time tonight. And who else but Devin White?
Yeah, this is a highlight. This is a highlight that should run all night long if you're LSU. This is the one that Dave Aranda has to play in the meeting room. Just watch 40. 40's going to flash into your screen and just watch the effort. Refuses to be blocked and just continues the relentless pursuit and has the wherewithal to swipe at the football. That's NFL type stuff right there. It's not just make the play, make the sack. It's try to knock the ball out. It's a big time play by Devin White.
When we sat with defensive coordinator Dave Aranda yesterday, I had to fact check our colleague Cole Kubelik, who's the master of film breakdown and putting it out on Twitter. And he's tweeted after the Auburn game last week that LSU brought only more than four rushers once in that game, and it was a delayed blitz. So that's even more impressive with what the LSU defense has done today, and with the effort from White is doing it when it's not coming in a blitz package, and the effort equaling the outcome.
One of the things also, too, look, they run what I call blitz to cover, where they show you 4 down linemen or 4 rushers, and in a cover 1, the linebacker takes the tailback, the running back. If the running back helps out to block, then you add on to the rush. And he's probably one of the best add-on rushers in all of FBS. Devin White, he shows as if he's got you in coverage, but once you commit to the block as a tailback, that's when he turns on the jets, and it almost becomes a delayed blitz, and that makes a quarterback have to speed up the throw.
Plenty of time, incomplete. And to finish the thought on Cole, who can't be watching, he's on the air with Arkansas and Auburn on the SEC
he'll watch
Network.
it this week, though. He's a film guy like me.
He'll be back. He was correct in that analysis.
Well, he was very correct because they showed the 4 down, and then as a delay, Devin White just basically, he just shadowed the quarterback, and when the quarterback left out of the pocket, he went to go harass. He was a menace. I'm very impressed with him today. It's my second time seeing him live. Last year was just a sophomore, and he was actually thrust into a leadership role as a true sophomore, and everybody's trying to say, can he be the next great linebacker here at LSU? All SEC last year, this year, showing and proving that he's the All-American that they expect him to be.
Into the backfield again, another wrap-up and tackle. And it's Michael Divinity Jr.
And it goes back to your point again. What was that? 4-man rush. They don't have to rush more than 4 because they feel like they've got a great secondary. And when you're able to get the 4-man rush, you allow 7 defenders to drop back in coverage. And J.M. Smith, look, just not enough time. Not enough time to throw the football into these tight windows.
One last go at it for the Bulldogs. And that does it. It was 24-21 at one point in favor of LSU. Coach O and the Tigers continue to roll. The number 6 team in the country is now a perfect 4-0. It's been a great couple years for him. Top 10 wins, 3 of them. Coach O's got 3. Nick Saban and Urban Meyer. He's in great company. Perhaps getting into the top 5 this coming week. We thank you for being with us. So for Kirk Morrison, I'm Mike Cousins. On behalf of our entire crew saying so long. Goal Line is next here on the U.